What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and a couple of days ago I got an interesting comment. Someone's asking if I could show them how to use QuickBooks or how to do bookkeeping in QuickBooks, which I thought was a great idea, so that's why I'm doing this video. But if you have any video suggestions, if you want to see something specific, let me know in the comment section below. It is important to know that QuickBooks has different versions or different types of QuickBooks, right? The one I'm going to be showing you is the QuickBooks Self-Employed, which is pretty much if you have a personal business, or if you have, or if you just want to use it to track your expenses, do like basic bookkeeping for yourself, so you know what expenses you had when it comes to paying taxes and stuff like that. And there's also QuickBooks Online in desktop version, which companies actually use, and all these are the same, but the other ones just have extra features, right? So if you're looking at a company, QuickBooks, maybe QuickBooks Online, you're going to see that it has a feature for payroll. Or if you look at QuickBooks Self-Employed, it does not have that, right? It just has the basic features. But these are going to be the same features that you're going to find in any version of QuickBooks, such as, transactions or your taxes or creating invoices. That's going to be in every QuickBooks. So this is basically going to be the basics. If you're going to be using an advanced version of QuickBooks, this should be able to help you as well. So now, if you want to get QuickBooks, I think they do have a referral that I'm going to put in the description below. It says you get 50% off. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to QuickBooks here. I'm going to go over all the settings, and I'm going to go over how to do basic bookkeeping in there. So as you can see, guys, I'm logged into QuickBooks right now, and this is what you see as when you get on the home tab here. So I'm on the home tab. So kind of like gives you an overview of what is going on in your account. Now, this is an old account that I had, so it's not going to have a lot of, you can see even here the cash is $41 because I still have, I think, a business card connected to this. And yeah, so I don't have any expenses if you look on here, simply because I don't really use this account. I'm just using it for this tutorial. So the first thing you're going to see is pretty much a summary of everything, right? On the top, you're going to see the taxes here. It tells you when your taxes are due, and I pretty much helps you do it. You can see there's a little timeline here where it tells you what to do. And you can use TurboTax. I believe that is what they use. So you can pretty much transfer everything in your QuickBooks onto TurboTax. Or if you want to use your own accountant, there's actually a feature where you can invite your accountant into your QuickBooks and they will just file the taxes for you. So let's get started on the top here, right? We're going to look at some settings. So if you go on the top here, you're going to see the date when the taxes are due. These are quarterly taxes, I believe, and it tells you the amount. So it is $44 that I owe. I mean, I don't owe this, but it's an old account, so it has some information from the past that I don't use. So if you go on the next one, there's a little settings wheel here next to your name. So if you click on that, this is where you're going to be able to access a lot of your settings. So on the left side, you're going to see bank accounts, imports, rules, set up tags, receipt forwarding, manage categories, and Amazon report. So a couple important things here is going to be bank accounts. So click on that. And this is where you're going to be able to link your bank accounts, which is important, right? Because you want to be able to track the expenses when you swipe your card, right? If your card is connected to your bank account and is connected to QuickBooks, it's going to record those transactions for you, so you don't have to manually do it. I'm also going to show you how to manually add transactions, just in case you're trying to add transactions from the past. So this is where you're going to be able to do that. So you can see I have a PayPal account linked here, and I also have a cash account linked on here. And if you wanted to add a bank account, go on the top here and go to connect, and you're going to be able to find your bank, or maybe you want to use PayPal, and just go through, it's going to walk you through how to add your account. So once you have your bank account set up, you're pretty much set to go when it comes to recording transactions. So I'm going to go back to the settings here. And when it comes to everything else that's on here, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is going to be bank accounts. You can look at rules. These are going to be rules. You can say that, as you can see, I have a couple of rules here. All right, so when it comes to transaction rules, basically what they are is it's pretty much teaching your QuickBooks that if a transaction comes in that has this title added to business expenses, maybe income. So as an example here, you can see that I created a rule here, and it says that if something comes in that says video editing services, or if it's an invoice that says video editing or a transaction services, as you can see, it says the exact match, you can see that this is going to be under business and under income because it is money that I'm receiving for video editing services. And it's the same thing as here. If I earned interest, it's going towards income. And if I'm earning revenue from YouTube, it's going towards income as well. So those are some of the rules. So if you wanted to create one, I'll just show you right now real quick. So create rule, and you can add a description, right? So you can say, I'm just going to say video here to make things easier. So you also have the option to say you want the exact match or anything that includes the word video. So if you turn this off, it's going to mess things a lot, because if you have something that has this word or or the words that you put in here or the description, it's going to be recorded as it's going to follow this rule because it contains a couple of words in this description. So you always want to do exact match to make sure that you are recording your transactions accurately. So it says what account, right? So I'm going to say cash account, which is going to be my bank account or individual cash account. And it's going to be, if anything is coming from that account, you don't have to select an account because you can always do that later. Now it's asking, okay, if it fits the description as an exact match, what type of expense is it, right? So if I click the drop down, you have business and personal, right? So let's say it's a personal account, and you also have the option to set a category here. So if I click on categories here, let's see if you guys can see this. It's kind of like too low. So we'll go to category, and then you can click on, there's a lot of options here. So I'm going to put business services, and I could do like, I don't know, advertising. These are just random. So now if you have other transactions that meet this description, you can click apply to past transactions. This is going to apply to all of them. So you don't have to manually do it to each individual transaction. But I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. I don't want to save this. Let's go ahead and exit out of here, go back to settings, and I'm going to go to, so we're done with this. So when it comes to taxes, you have to set up your tax profile, because if you see this estimate on here, it's going to be estimated using your tax profile, right? So you need this to be as accurate as possible. So if I click on tax profile here, and you can look at, you say 2021 tax profile. So you can just set this based on your tax profile. So if you're single, just select single. If you're the head of the household, click, yes, no, and then the number of dependents if you have any. And also, your W-2 income. So if you have a W-2, if you have a job, you can add that income on there. You can also add the taxes that, they took from that, that were in that W-2, add them on here. And when it comes to the deductions, you have the standard deduction, which is $12,550 as of 2021, I believe. I always recommend going with the standard deduction because you're going to get that $12,000 regardless. So now once you do this, you set up your tax profile, you can go to projections here. It's going to show you the taxes that you're going to be paying, right? So the first quarter says 92. So this is not accurate. It's a projection based on your tax profile, right? It's not really too important because if you're going to be sending your taxes to TurboTax or to an actual accountant, which I'm going to be showing you here, this is just kind of like an estimate, to give a good idea of, how much you're going to be paying, how much you owe. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, save it if you want to save it. Moving on to the next one, which is vehicle information. This is going to help you if you're going to be tracking your miles, if you have a business trip or anything like that that you want to deduct from your taxes. This is going to be a way to claim that business expense for using your car. As you can see, all you got to do here is put in the name of your car, the year, how much it costs you, and all of that, and save it once you're done with that. And the next thing I want to show you here is going to be home office information. So this is really important if you work from home. As you can see, I work from home. This is my, my studio, I guess. And when I'm doing my taxes, I deduct the square feet that I have as my office in my home, and that's a pretty nice deduction. So as you can see here, it's simple settings here. So all you gotta do is enter the square footage of your home office, right? You can just measure it, and it tells you the deduction. So this is gonna be $5 per square foot, and as you can see, if I have 42, I have 210 in deductions when it comes to the home office, right? So I like using the simplified method because it just does it for you. The regular method is kind of like a little more tricky. Just stick to the simplified method just to make things a lot easier. So go ahead and click save once you are done with this. I know I'm going this pretty fast. It's because I want to cover this and not make this video 2 hours long. I'm going to go back to the settings. I also want to show you healthcare. So you can actually link your healthcare on here. This is also going to help, when it comes to estimating taxes and all that. And if you also have an HSA or a health savings account, you can enter the information on here because that is a tax advantage account. So it's going to help you when it comes to taxes. You can deduct that money from your taxes. This is not tax advice, by the way. I'm not an accountant, but save that once you're done. So if you go all the way to the right side to the About You, go to your Intuit account. This is going to show you your settings. Let's say you wanted to cancel your membership. Just go to Products and Billing. And when it comes to this is where you're going to be able to cancel. So I'm going to click on this. And you can cancel your membership if you want to. And that shows you what you have on here. And you can go ahead and cancel your membership. So now let's go back to settings. I want to show you something else. So now I was saying that when it's time to do taxes, you can actually invite your accountant to access your account. So you're going to do this by clicking this accountant tab here. Click on that. You just got to type in their email. They're going to be invited to your QuickBooks account and they're going to be able to go in and do what they do. Yeah, so that is pretty much it when it comes to the settings that you need to know. That was pretty quick, but I hope you guys learned something from that. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go back to the left side, which is where we have some of the most important things. So we're on the Home tab right now. And if you go down, it just gives you a summary of everything, right? You see that estimated tax, profit and loss. And you can also change this right here to maybe last year. And you can click all so you can see both business expenses and personal expenses. And you can look at expenses here. Oh, that is a cash flow income, not expenses. Expenses are right next to it. I got business expenses, personal expenses. And over here, it shows you how many accounts are connected to your QuickBooks. And you do that by adding a bank account here on bank accounts. And if you go here, you have invoices. So if I go to last year, look at my invoices here. I have one overdue invoice. And if you are tracking your miles, which I'm going to be showing you in a little bit, you're going to see your mileage on here. Let's do last year. So you can see I have about 5 miles, which is a $3 deduction when it comes to taxes. And you also have estimated tax here. So this is a summary of everything. All right, so moving on to the most important thing, which is going to be transactions. There you go. So now we have our transactions here. So as you can see, I do have some transactions that I have on here. And some of these are just random. I have Microsoft, I have Adobe, I have my QuickBooks transactions. So if you have your bank account connected, which is going to include your card that you use to swipe, when you swipe the card, the transaction is going to come out here, right? The transaction is going to be recorded in the transaction tab. So as you can see, a couple of days ago, I purchased a Microsoft Office subscription and the transaction came here, right? But if you look at this, it doesn't know if this is a business, personal, or I need to split between business and personal expense. So if I click this, the transaction, so click on it like that, there's going to be a drop down here, right? And it tells you the date. So you can change the description if you want. So I'm going to leave it as Microsoft. And this was a business expense. So I'm going to switch over to business. And simply because I use it for business, right? So I can write that off under business expenses. So now we have the actual category here. So if I click on this, you're going to be able to pick a different category. Now, this is an app. This is software that I use for the business. So this is actually an accurate description. So QuickBooks sometimes is smart enough to figure out what type of transaction it is. But if not, you can search here if you want to search. And they say you can use a computer, you can use, it's like so many things, business licenses. If you purchased a business license, or if you want to record this under office expenses, you can do that as well. So those are the categories. Now, this is a business expense. It tells you on here. So now if you want to add a rule, right, because you're going to be paying this monthly, if you have a monthly subscription, you can add a rule here that says when something comes in that says Microsoft, it should match exactly. We're going to be, you can ignore the account here. It's going to be a business expense with the category of apps, software, and web services. And you can also apply this to past transactions and you can just save it, right? So now you can see that, where is it at? Right here. If you see this little rule box here, it tells you that this one has a rule. So if you look at this one as well, it has a rule on here. Once you do that, you can also add notes that say, if you want to, be more descriptive, be like maybe it's a monthly subscription service, you can type in whatever description you want to type. Now, the most important things when it comes to recording transaction is going to be adding a receipt right here, right? You can take a screenshot of it if you purchased online and then upload this on here. or you can take a picture and then upload on here. So you can simply click browse, and there you go. And you can upload the receipt on here. So this is important because whenever you have your accountant looking into your expenses, you need to have information that backs it up, right? Because it's not going to be enough saying that, well, you purchased this, because anyone can create a transaction. But if you have a receipt that acts as evidence, just in case maybe you get audited, you want to keep a record of those receipts. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this. You also have the tags. Don't really focus on that. I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now we have our transaction saved. So this transaction was recorded when I used my card to swipe. What if it's a past transaction that you want to record into your QuickBooks, right? This is where you can add a transaction here, right? So you can click this drop down, you can add a bunch of things, but just click add transaction. So this is going to create this little section here, right? So now you can enter all the information that you want to enter. So I'm going to call this, let's say, I'm just going to call it money, random. I'm calling it money. And then now you can change the amount. Let's say it was $10 and this was a personal expense. Category, I'm going to say food. So fast food, like that. I'm going to change this to food, actually. All right. So now this is the category. So now you can add whatever you want in the notes. It's something that's to be descriptive, right? Because food does not describe anything, right? So if you want to put the name on the restaurant, whatever you want to put in the description. Now, most important thing, receipt, right? Upload your receipt on here. And once you have that, click save. All right, so another option here is going to be to add the receipt, right? So if I click on add receipt, it's just going to ask you to add a receipt. So let's pretend we're adding a receipt on here. So I'm going to click that, and I'm just going to grab a random picture on here. So as soon as it's uploaded, you're going to see it on here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click upload, and this is going to start uploading into QuickBooks. So give it a second here. So once it's uploaded, you're going to see it says pending on top of here. Let's open it up, right? So as you can see, it tells you that I have a receipt and it's gathering the details. So since what I uploaded was not an actual receipt, it's not going to grab any details. But if it was an actual receipt, it's going to be able to, it's smart enough to grab, maybe the transaction name, the amount, all of that. But if it doesn't, you have the option to manually change that. If you wanted to delete a transaction now, you can actually go ahead and click on the transaction itself, the one we just added. And as you can see, you have a couple of options here. So you have, maybe you want to change it into business, personal, change the category. Now this is the delete button, so you can delete the expense. You say apply. Now it is deleted, so click yes. Now it's gone. So now let's say you wanted to split an expense. Let's say part of it was business, part of it was personal. So what you can do is, as you can see, I have a Udemy income here. So if I click split, so what you can do now, you have this option. So there's $32, that's the total, and you can split by percentage or the amount. So you say amount, you can go to, let's say I want to, personal, business, and I don't know, maybe that personal. So I'm gonna change this to a percentage because that's easier. So I'm gonna do maybe 50%. Now, if you look on the bottom here, it says always split Udemy 50% income, 50% personal, uncategorized. So that's how you can split this. It usually works if you're splitting expenses. So you can, let's look at one of the expenses here. So you can click split. You can even split between the different categories here if you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to transactions. So I want to move on to miles. All right, so now if you added your car information, you should be able to track your miles using the app, the QuickBooks Self-Employed app. But if you wanted to add your miles manually, just click on Add Trip manually. So you can add a trip, and you can put the starting address, the ending address, distance, and that's it. And it tells you how much you can deduct per mile, which is 56 cents. Now, if you use Google Maps, you can actually import Google Trips. So that's pretty simple. Moving on to taxes. So when it comes to taxes, like I showed you before, you can email yourself the tax details. This gives you like a summary of the taxes that you have. So you have business expenses, vehicle expenses. That's where you see those deductions. You have home office expenses, which you put in the office space that you're working from home. You also have other deductions. Pretty much it. So you don't really need to focus on this unless you're about to do taxes. You can, send this to TurboTax or your accountant. Next part is going to be the reports, which is pretty important because it gives you kind of like an overview of what's going on. The most important one here is going to be the profit and loss, right? So you select the time to do last year, do view. So this is pretty much a profit and loss statement. It pretty much sums up everything that you have. So you don't have to do that manually. It does it for you. If you go back to reports, you can also look at a business and personal expenses report. You have a tax summary. You also have tax details. So these are reports you can use to, analyze if you're trying to see the state of your business, if everything is going well. These are reports that you might want to look at. Now, another important part is going to be the invoices here. So now, if you're going to be sending invoices to your clients, if somebody owes you money, this is how you can add an invoice. So we're going to add an invoice on here. So you're going to go ahead and create the invoice. So if you click on invoice details, you're going to be able to, you got to enable all this, the invoice number. It's going to allow you to track the invoice, the date, and the due date. And for the payments, you can link your credit card or maybe your bank account if you want the money to be transferred to your bank account. And also for the design, if you want to make this look nice, you can design this as well. You can change the logo. You can also change colors, the font. And as for the email, it's going to be the email that goes with that. So for this example is, hey, here's your invoice. We appreciate your prompt payment. So if you go to the PDF, this is what's going to be sent to the customer or client. You can add a pay invoice link. So when you send that to the client, there's a link they can click and it'll just let them pay. So now let's go back to invoice details and you can add the customer information. So you can pretty much add their name, their email, phone number. The most importantly, you can also add the billing address, right? So I'm going to click save now that I have that information. So now you have the customer information. Now you want to add the product or services, right? So click this plus button here. Now you're going to be able to add the products. So let's say you did graphic design, and what is the rate? Is it a flat rate? So you could do by the hour if you want, where you can enter the amount of hours that you worked and the hourly rate. So it says $25, right? Now it tells you here, it does the math for you. Now on the bottom here, you can add notes if you want to be specific, and you can add as many as you want, right? So I'm going to add just this one. And once you're done, you have your settings here, your invoice is ready to go. You can click email. So this is pretty much going to show you what it's going to send the customer. So if you look on this right here, you have it's coming from this person, is going to this person. And you can also CC a bunch of people if you want. So click on CC. You can add other emails if you want to include maybe their business partners. You also have the subject, and this is the email that is going to go with, right? And this is pretty much the invoice on this side. So you click send. Now, if I was the customer, this is what I would receive, and I can look at the invoice online and pay it off. It is due in 30 days, and you can also change this due date if you like. So that's the due date on here. You can go to edit invoice. So if you wanted to change the due date, it's going to be right here. So you can change it to whatever you want to change it. And yeah, so let's exit out of this. Let's save that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to invoices. And what you can also do to edit an invoice, just click this button here, and you can also click this drop down, and you can duplicate the invoice. So you can duplicate this like that. As you can see, it opens up this, and this is going to help you, save time, I guess. And if you click the drop down once again, you can actually print the invoice. You can send a reminder to the client without having to call them. You just send a reminder. It will send an email. You can also export this as a PDF if you want to keep it for your records. You can also mark this as paid. They say they paid you in cash, which is not going to be recorded here. So you can mark this as paid. As you can see, it says paid today. You can also mark this one as paid if you want. So this is paid today, and it shows this little green circle here. And you can also delete invoices by clicking the drop down here and just clicking delete and say yes, and boom, it's gone. Now the last thing I want to show you is going to be the time, right? So this is actually a new feature which is in beta, but basically how it works is if you are going to be paying someone by the hour, or if you're getting paid by the hour, you can actually use this to track your time, right? So let's go ahead and start here, right? So first thing, I'm going to add the clients. Let's say I'm working for somebody named test user. And what is the project I'm working on? I'm editing a video for them. What is the description? Blah, 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 right? So blah, 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 blah. So let's say, okay, I'm getting paid by the hour. I'm going to start working. So you click start. There you go. So now you keep working, work. You're getting paid by the hour. And whenever you are done, you just click stop and save. And this is going to be recorded down here, right? So once it has it recorded here, you can actually go to edit. And basically what this is going to do is going to allow you to change the settings, right? So let's say, it's the start time, end time. If you want to modify that, you can do that. The most important thing is going to be your hourly rate, right? Because it has to be able to multiply how many hours you worked and how much you get paid per hour, right? So if I get paid $20 an hour, which is what I have here, you can bump it up a little. Go to $43 an hour. You change the description. So if I also change the time here, let's say I ended at 4, So you can see that now I get paid, I work 2 hours and 34 minutes and I get paid $110. So this is pretty good if you're getting paid by the hour and they want the record of how much time it took you to work. You can actually use this as your backup information. So that is pretty much it when it comes to this. Let me know if you guys want me to go in depth about a specific thing that you saw in QuickBooks Self-Employed. And let me know if you want to see the other QuickBooks I can do tutorials on that. I'm pretty well versed in QuickBooks. I've used it for about 2 years. So let me know if you guys have any questions, if I missed anything, if you want to add anything else to this. But this is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.